Welcome to a bonus episode of the Page of Our Lives podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Leslie Stewart. Normally, Paige and I record our show from our homes, me in Texas and Paige in South Carolina. But recently, Paige and her son, Cade, got a last-minute opportunity to come to Texas. So while she was here, we recorded a couple of fun bonus episodes for you. Today, we talk all about having a spirit of hospitality. Whether you're a hostess with the mostess or you hate house guests, we share a few tips and tricks to make opening your home a little easier. Paige also shares the crazy story behind how she ended up coming to Texas. We had such a fun time recording together. You know, as the kids say, IRL. And oh, Mom, by the way, that stands for in real life. So let's turn the page and talk all things hospitality on this bonus episode of The Page of Our Lives. Hey.
Hi.
We're live and in person.
We're almost like little schoolgirls. We don't know how to act.
I know. We're so excited.
It's so good.
We're live together. This whole thing is, well, a miracle, honestly.
It is a miracle. It's an answer to prayer.
So about 4 days ago, Paige calls me on a Monday afternoon and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." And she says, "Well, come, you pick me up at the airport tonight at midnight. I'm flying into Dallas with Cade.
Can we have a sleepover?
It's like, what in the world? And so, yeah, Here we are. Her son got the opportunity to come and play in this awesome baseball tournament. And he's like, as I'm referring to him as a Western gunslinger for hire, but he's a catcher for hire.
For hire. Yeah.
Although I don't think he's getting paid.
No, no, he's taking all my money left and right, and right and left. There's no more. So we will be creating a GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe, Paige and Cade's baseball experience 2021.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really awesome how we ended up here. And before we lose you all with this story, we're not going to lose you all because this is a good story. We're going to talk about hospitality today and kind of like what our moms have taught us about hospitality.
A lot.
Because all of this, it would not be possible if it wasn't for the hospitality of Leslie and her mom. And it's really a true gift. So yes, on Monday, I'm in the grocery store at the local Food Lion. I'd never been to Food Lion.
Shout out Food Lion.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor our podcast, we'd be okay with that.
100%. Yes, Food Lion. So I'm at the Food Lion and I get a phone call from my husband like, "Hey, do you want to go to Texas?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really know. Like maybe we're in Texas." He's like, "Melissa, Texas." And I'm like, I don't know my geography in Texas. So I'm like, "Well, where's that in relation to Frisco?" And he's like, I don't know, but do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe." And anyways, for a baseball tournament for my son, Cade. And I'm thinking, with who? Like, we don't know baseball people in Texas. We don't yet. We do now. So anyways, there was a team in Vegas that needed a catcher. And so backstory, my husband was a pro ball player once upon a time.
Listen to our episode about raising athletes and you'll hear the whole story.
Exactly. Yeah. So in this Facebook group that these former pro athletes are in, these coaches said, "Hey, we need a catcher for this tournament in Texas." And so several people tagged my husband, Clay, and said, "His kid can catch. You should reach out to him." So Clay and this coach from Las Vegas connected with one another. And he said, "Yeah, we'll help pay a little bit for him to come out there." Clay went online and bought us a ticket. And because I didn't want to send Cade by himself, he thinks he's all grown, but I'm just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So he's 16 at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
So turns out that Melissa, Texas, where the baseball field is 25 minutes down the road from Leslie. Woo woo. I'm like,
okay, can I interject here with
Yes.
a little asterisk?
Yes.
Asterisk,
whatever it is.
Anyway, my interjection is this. 2 months ago,
yes,
we were planning, we were working on our podcast preparation and all of that. And Paige just out of the blue says, "Lord, would you just make it possible for Leslie and I to see each other this summer? Either bring her to South Carolina or get me to Texas somehow."
Yes, it was like just a half prayer. Like
Seriously.
It wasn't even super serious, but it was a desire of our heart to be able to get together and to do this in person. And so we both are like giggling, like seriously, I'm going to Texas.
Here she is.
Listen, people, I am not like a world traveler yet. yet,
Yeah.
or even a United States traveler other than the East Coast. But here I am. So we flew out, and Leslie, I'm like, I know it's a big ask, but don't you want to stay up till midnight and pick us up at the airport? Yes. And don't you want me to use your car
Yes, of course.
all week long? And where can we sleep? And so, because Leslie's guest bedroom is now her podcast awesome, amazing office. And
Mhm.
so her parents happen to live right down the street, and they are, of course, the loveliest people you will ever meet. And so we've been staying at
So I called them, hey, can you put up a couple of friends? And they know Paige.
yeah.
They were like, of course, she and Kate can stay here.
Yep.
So they've been hanging at mom and dad's all week.
It's been so awesome. So then that got me thinking, while we're here, since it was totally unplanned, I'm like, we've got to record an episode while we're together.
Totally.
And I thought, hospitality, it's summertime. People are traveling a lot. And I also just read, because y'all know that I'm a reader, and the gospel comes with a house key. And it was all about opening up our homes to people not necessarily totally like us, but it really got me thinking about hospitality. And there's several things that Leslie has learned and that I have learned from our moms, really.
Yeah.
How to be hospitable and open up our homes to people at the very last minute, not when it's totally planned, but just kind of always be ready for house guests.
Be available
When God brings them across their path.
So true.
What are
that is literally like the story of my childhood. We had a guest bedroom. My sister and I always joke, we had a guest bedroom in our house growing up, and it always had a guest in it.
Yes.
We frequently hosted missionaries who were home on furlough, or people who were in a rough, season and needed a place to stay, people passing through town. And so, of course, I'm saying all this after I've dismantled my guest bedroom.
It's all right.
I still have a heart of hospitality.
Yes.
But I got a small house. So, but my parents have 2 extra bedrooms, and I knew that my mom would not mind one bit having you guys come and stay with them. But I just think, like, this is such an example of what it looks like when you kind of open your heart to maybe be slightly inconvenienced, but it ends up being wonderful. And I'm not calling her or Kate an inconvenience. I'm just saying, like, you gotta have
it wasn't in the plan.
It wasn't in the plan
for either one of us.
Nope. And you know what's so amazing about all this is that, like, you guys have come, we figured out where you can stay, we figured out transportation. Yep. My world didn't slow down. I still worked and did all the things I was supposed to do with my kids this week. We've made a way to have it all work out. And I just think it begins with having a spirit of, like, as we like to say on this show, everything is figure outable.
Everything is totally figure outable.
And so it's been super fun. And I'm so glad you guys have come, because it's been an adventure. You're having an adventure. We're having an adventure through you. We're super excited to show them all the amazing, crazy things that are here in Texas. And but it has to start with having a heart that's open to saying yes.
Yes. And being flexible, because even while we're here, the baseball schedule is, if you win this game, you could play it this time. If you lose the game, then you play it another time. If you win here, you could be out of the, in the tournament, out of the tournament. So I truly is hospitality being with a total open hand. Come and go as you please. There's no pressure whatsoever. You don't have to hang out. You don't have to hang out. And it was funny. I wish I remember the verse, but it was in Proverbs today about not overstaying your welcome.
Yeah. I would say that's an important part of hospitality too.
Know when to leave.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that is one tip. Know when to leave. And you need to be able to read your friends well enough that they're like, you know what? They probably need a nap, or they're a little cranky, or their kids have been cranky, or something like that. So
that was my story.
That is one, I guess, one of the tips is know when to leave. Don't overstay your welcome by any means. But also having that open door. Your parents have been amazing, Leslie, and even they've listened to all my stories, and I've listened to all their stories. It's absolutely awesome. And then my son loves to fish, and Leslie's dad loves to fish, and so they have been fishing in all of the neighborhood ponds. But Leslie, what are some things that your mom taught you as far as hospitality wise? Like, what do you remember as a childhood and that you still do today?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, this is just practical, but just asking your guests, hey, is there anything I can get for you that will make it easier for you to be here? Whether that's, hey, I drink this coffee, or I
Mhm.
want this particular kind of milk. Like, we just always like to have a few things around the house that make it easier.
Yeah.
My kids like this particular snack.
Yeah.
Just kind of thinking about the other person. I love, of course, don't have it right now, but I do love having a guest room and having it like well appointed with, a comfy bed and
Yeah.
blankets. And I even put a candle in there. And
Yeah.
poor Paige, she's sleeping at my mom's house. She's
It's awesome. Don't feel sorry for me at all.
no, I mean, my mom's guest rooms are great, but they're also, there's like old quilts, and there's old dolls, and all
And
kinds of nanny's antiques are all filled in the room.
but it
So
makes me feel like I'm staying at my grandparents' house.
it does, well, it
Like
is a grandparent's house, so it's
it,
perfect.
it feels at home.
Yeah.
It does feel homey.
So I think it's also important to like kind of let people know, like, hey, here's the expectation while you're here.
Yes.
Like, for example, they got in at midnight. Well, I wasn't going to ask my parents to stay up till midnight.
Yes.
So I picked them up at the airport, brought them to the house, got them all settled in. But like, I think it's important to kind of set the expectation
Yeah.
with house guests as far as like, hey, our family goes to bed around this time.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come and go. Here's a house key.
Yes.
But, just I think to kind of, especially if you've got small kids, sometimes that can be
Yes.
hard. So just making sure you're just communicating well, like what
Yes.
the expectation
Yes.
is. And I think everybody appreciates that on both sides.
Yes, especially even when it comes to meals as well. Like, kind of talk that through. Hey, we'll be home for dinner, or we're not going to be home for dinner.
Yes.
That type of stuff, so that you can kind of plan
Yes.
accordingly. That is helpful.
And I kind of want to tag on to that for a second, because recently my parents hosted some young people,
Mhm.
family friends, who their child or daughter came through town. And I think that, and they had a wonderful visit. So this isn't necessarily reflective of that, but what I will say is that sometimes the younger generation, they don't really know how to be good house guests.
Yes.
Right. So I think as
Yes.
parents, we have a responsibility to kind of teach our children how to
Yes.
be a good house guest.
Yes.
Whether you're going to a friend's house for a sleepover, or you're, in
This is-
college and you're
that's
going
a
to your
great point.
roommate's house for Thanksgiving, like, learn to be a good house guest, like have, adult conversation with the people who own the home, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
ask them if you can pitch in for chores, or, hey, would it be okay if I wash my laundry here?
Yes.
Like, people are
Yes.
most of the time very accommodating,
Right.
but don't just come into somebody else's house and assume like, hey, I'm on vacation and you're going to take care of everything for
Right.
me. People who are being hospitable don't appreciate that.
No,
generally.
no. I usually like, can I wash the dishes? Like,
Yeah.
pick up after yourself. And I mean, if you want to go the extra mile, make your bed.
For real.
I mean, make your bed. It's just those simple little things. And
Yeah.
also just saying thank you. Like your mom, I hadn't really thought about this, but one day whenever Cade I had already gone outside to the car and he was leaving, and he said, thank you for letting us stay here. And your
Aw.
mom's like, just want to tell you, like, cause you don't always get to hear the good report.
Yeah.
But she's like, I just wanted to tell you that he said, thank you for letting me stay here. So teach your kids, if they are spending the night at a friend's house or going somewhere, to say thank you. It's
Yeah.
just simple little things.
For
So
sure. What else?
let's see. I'm trying to think, as my parents' house is a revolving door as well.
It is your mom. I stayed at her mom's house in February in
Yes.
Florida. So it's kind of funny. Now you're here staying at my mom's house.
It is. And my mom she always has coffee, I feel
Yes,
like, in the
mine
morning.
too.
And it's kind of like an open refrigerator. And I remember we had a pastor back at Grace Family Church where we used to attend together, Pastor Mike Moore. I remember he gave a sermon one time about having refrigerator relationships. And he said that, with your family, you can just go to the refrigerator. You don't necessarily have to ask.
Yeah.
You go to the refrigerator, you get out what you want, and then you put it back and you shut the fridge. Like, you just don't even think about asking your mom, can I go in the fridge? And so he said, we need to have more relationships that are refrigerator relationships, where people are comfortable enough to come into our home and open our refrigerators without having to
Yeah.
ask. And so
For
I know,
sure.
even at your parents, your mom's like, just help yourself, get whatever you want.
Yep.
Make your now, like my sister-in-law, she has a lot of kids. And so they do have rules where not everybody can just go to the refrigerator.
Or there'd be no food.
Or there would be no food. So you need to find out those types of rules at the house that you're going to go.
Expectations.
Yeah. So I don't know. My mom just always, she kind of makes sure that we have sheets and towels and a washcloth, some soap.
Yeah.
Necessary. You know, some people, if they don't bring like shampoo and conditioner, or some people may bring their own stuff. Those are typical things. Whenever I have people over, so in our house, we have 4 kids and there's 5 bedrooms in our house, but my little girls share a bedroom. So typically I end up kicking a kid out of a bedroom actually. So, and make them sleep on the couch or down in the basement or something like that, which they really don't totally mind. Listen, my oldest girl, she's in the master bedroom upstairs. Our house is a little bit wonky and it has a king size bed and a full size bed in it. If that tells you how big that room is. A big room. So I'm like, girl, you got to get out because we got people are coming or whatever. So I think change the sheets on the bed. And then when you leave, you don't necessarily have to wash the sheets, but my grandmother and my mom always taught me to take the sheets off the bed. Always. You take the sheets off the bed and if you can bring them down to the the laundry room.
Ask, would you like me to strip the bed? I often ask that.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then I don't know. I think just being like, come on in. And also, I don't always have my house perfect before my house. Now, my mom's at a different season of life. There's not kids there all the time. So she is able to keep it more pristine looking, I should say, than I'm able to keep my own house. But I have learned with hosting college kids and a lot of teenage kids, they don't really care.
No.
They don't care. I mean, they don't care if you don't have to have the nicest sheets or mattresses or pillows or anything like that. Just giving people a place to sleep, I think.
So that reminds me of a phrase my mom, Nancy, has said my entire life, and I'm going to pass it along to all of us. And it says this: if you're coming to see me, show up.
Yes.
If you're coming to see my house, make an appointment.
Yes.
So
yes, exactly. And I tell people that when they come to my house, I'm like, sorry, you missed it. I'm like, it was show worthy like an hour ago.
Right.
24 hours ago. I'm sorry that you missed it or whatever.
The day I moved in, it was show worthy.
Yeah.
Or actually the day before I moved in.
That's right. That's right. And then after that, we live here, you know, there's dishes, there's laundry, there's dogs. Okay. So let's talk about if you have animals, because I do have animals and I kind of grew up with some dogs, but it wasn't like a rhythm in our house, I would say. So I'm still figuring that one out because we do have 3 dogs and I try to keep them quarantined to like the front of the house. You need to read your house guests because some people do not like animals at all. So don't let your animals be like a free for all in the house whenever.
I'm one of those people. Like we have a dog, but I'm not a cat person. And I remember a couple of my college friends have cats, and when I've stayed with them, those cats just somehow instinctively know I don't like them. And so 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up and there's like a cat on my head. So I haven't always appreciated that as a house guest. So kind of fill your people out. You know, if you've got a hedgehog in the bedroom where the person is sleeping and it's a nocturnal animal that's going to run on its wheel all night long, you might want to move that to the laundry room or something while your house guest is there.
Yes, this is true. Very true. Oh man. Well, I guess the whole point of this is just don't be afraid to open your home up to people, even if it's at the last minute. And you may not have like a ton of room. I really don't think that people they really don't care. Most people don't care.
They don't care.
Just to open up your home and be like, come on over, come on in.
Yeah.
So, and I think if you have any other suggestions, we are always open to them.
Yes.
Your suggestions about like, what do you do to make your house more hospitable? So, and is it just a Southern thing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. It is a very Southern thing to host people in your home. I feel like it's kind of the way we live.
And Airbnb's making a fortune off of it now.
That's true.
Instead of all these hotels. So.
Yeah. I'd rather stay with a friend
all
day
long. I would too. This has been we have had the best time. Leslie and I, honestly, we haven't even got to see each other a ton other than we went to Shields today.
We did.
And that was awesome. Yeah. But really, I've been at the ball field. And
I've been working.
Leslie's been working, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Thank you for opening your home, Leslie.
Anytime.
And your parents' home.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Yeah. Yep. Nancy and Gary. Shout out to Nancy
and shout out to Beverly for hosting me in February.
Yes.
And we're going to come raid your house here, I'm sure.
I'm trying to get, people, it is so hot in Texas. Like it's
no joke hot.
It's no joke hot. No joke hot. It is not this hot.
Let me tell you how hot it is. I'm going to just, again, go on a rabbit trail here. So ERCOT, which is like the energy reliability, something or another of Texas.
Oh,
they're
fancy.
They're who regulate energy for the state. And what they really regulate is the use of power. And so they said at the beginning of this week, now mind y'all, it's like 98 to 100 degrees every day right now.
Feels like 105.
Hot and 100% humidity. So it's just like, you don't even want to go outside. You could cut it with a knife. So they announced on Monday that their desire would be for Texans to keep their daytime air conditioning at 78.
Seriously.
And their nighttime temperature at 85. I was like,
no,
not happening.
No.
So I feel that myself and collectively all sane people who live in Texas are basically telling ERCOT, figure out something else because that ain't going to work.
No.
So if we get some rolling blackouts and our AC goes out, well, I'll be coming to South Carolina.
You need to come to South Carolina. Yes.
Because I won't be able to handle it.
It's hot there, but it's not this hot. It is.
At least we have the lake to jump into.
Yeah, we have the lake to jump into totally, and some waterfalls to go. And that river water is still cold.
I'll take it.
Even in the middle of the summer. So
I love it.
Anyways, this has been fun. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
And we pray that after listening to this episode, it'll get your mind going so that you can be more hospitable this summer and this winter when the holidays are coming up and all the family comes in town.
People are ready to get out and travel. That's right. So make your home a welcome place.
Be careful what you talk about as well.
Okay.
When people come over, you need to make sure, like my mother-in-law, she says, don't talk about we can talk about politics and religion in our family and stuff like that. But with your house guests, depending on who they are, you might want to be careful what you whisper about them behind their backs.
Well, don't whisper anything.
Don't whisper anything behind their backs. You wait till I remember one time we went on a family vacation with my in-laws. They had rented a big house. This was several years ago before I had a lot of kids. And she's like, listen, if you want to talk about somebody else in the family, you wait till it's nighttime and you're in your own room. Don't say anything. And so I was like, that's really good because, kids. And when you get large families together, there can be a lot of things.
There's going to be tension.
Yeah. So you just got to give everybody extra supernatural grace.
Yeah, for sure.
Whenever you get together as a large group. So
yeah. And just find a quiet space.
Yeah. And if you're I think even if you're extroverted or introverted, always schedule some downtime.
For sure.
That especially if you're staying more than like 3 days, I think everybody kind of needs their space a little bit to recharge.
Yeah. My mother also says, I'm sure it's an old proverb, fishing companies stink after 3 days. So I'm just saying.
Fishing companies
she doesn't stink yet. She doesn't
Not yet. Although I am quite sweaty from the ball field. So hence the hat and tank top.
And it's 100 degrees outside.
100 degrees. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, friends. If you have anything else that you want to add to our, hospitality episode, things that your parents did that we may need to know about, please leave us a comment
or
below.
Share items that you have in your guest room that you say are indispensable.
Yes.
Post those below. We would love to share those with our listeners.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.
I don't know when you're going to see us in the same room again. So take a picture. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Well, that closes another chapter on the Page of Our Lives podcast. Did you know we're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube? Well, we are. Just search for Page of Our Lives podcast. Curious where to find things we mention on the show? Check out our show notes on our website, pageofourlivespodcast.com. And if you liked today's episode, be sure and share it with a friend. And we would love for you to leave a rating or a review in your podcast player. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.